Okay, so Dan Shapiro, in his book Beyond Reason, I thought this was very valuable. He says, if you're in a negotiation and you start hitting a snag and you start having problems, here are the 5 core emotional concerns that need to be addressed, one or more of these need to be addressed. Either someone doesn't feel appreciated, they don't feel affiliated. In other words, they feel marginalized, like they're not connected with what's going on. They don't feel like they have autonomy, meaning that people need to know that it's their decision to make. And I know that good mediators always emphasize, you're the decision maker, you're the decision maker, but then you get into these situations where it appears that the lawyers are the decision makers and the parties are getting marginalized. Status and role. People want to know that they are playing an important part in what's going on, and if they don't feel like that, if they feel like they're not being listened to, taken seriously, then you're going to have a problem. Russell Granger has written a similar version of this, and he says the 7 triggers to yes are friendship, authority, consistency, reciprocity, contrast, reason why, and hope. That is the, you'll notice the similarities between his work and Cialdini's. I think he might have lifted a little bit from Cialdini, but who knows. Okay, so listening for CEM, content, emotions, and movement. When you're listening to people, listen for content, emotions, and movement. Introverts and extroverts. I think this is an important point. They're usually pretty easy to figure out. Extroverts will make decisions very quickly. Introverts will want to mull it over. It's very easy to close a deal with 2 extroverts. You get an extrovert and an introvert. The introverts are the people who are going to shut down on you around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and say, I've just had enough and I've got to go home and digest this, and the best you're going to do is a recess. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to... Rapport. Lines of communication are critical. You have to understand what influences people. I think we give short shrift to building rapport. I see that this is a real deficiency with lawyers. If only I were skilled enough to not have to skip through all of this, but I will anyway. All right, so I want to close more or less with what I call the New Age concepts in negotiation. And that sounds like kind of a woo-woo thing to say, and it is, but what I'm seeing is that these concepts are creeping into the negotiation process along with mainstream psychology and everything else. And the first one is mindfulness. Do we all know what we're talking about, mindfulness? I mean, it's basically being present, not being distracted. Put away your cell phones when you're in a meeting with people. Don't be checking on this, that, and the other. Don't get up and run out of the room to check on whether the deposition that you're scheduled is, or trying to schedule, is coming through on time. Be mindful. Compassion, empathy, gratitude, and wisdom. Wisdom, you can always, we all know some wisdom. Wisdom comes in so many flavors. You know, there's Jewish wisdom and Christian wisdom and Buddhist wisdom and secular wisdom and Aesop's fables. And when you can drop a little wisdom into the mix, you'll find it resonates with people. That's why it's wisdom, because it resonates. It's true. We get it. All right, I've got 2 minutes for questions and comments. So, yeah, Bob.
Okay. You know, your first question was, why am I here? Why aren't you, I looked at all the books you've read, why aren't you in Singapore right today with Trump? And that could be your next book.
Actually, I was thinking that I'd be much more comfortable if Roger Fisher or someone like that, or Dan Shapiro was in Singapore. But, and you know, it's interesting to read 13 Days of September and look at all the preparation that went into, 13 days of negotiations with a 3-party negotiation. Hundreds of people having to be housed and fed at Camp David, the logistics, entertaining them in the evenings, dealing with the wives. It's a big deal. This is a big deal. I really think the thing in Singapore is just a meet and greet. I hope it turns into more than that. And maybe that's all it should be at this point, is an icebreaker. But anyway, I wasn't invited to answer your question. Anyone else? Ann.
Well, speaking of the Singapore things, I understand that tomorrow they're going to be just meeting one-on-one
Right,
with interpreters.
right. And we won't
And that
know.
raises questions, of course, when you have interpreters and you have people speaking different languages, whether there would be miscommunication, misunderstanding. Do you have any thoughts about making notes of negotiations, common notes, something so that you can record a common understanding of what has been offered?
I am so glad you brought that up, because I think one of the common errors that we make is negotiating orally. And it's fine to talk to people and talk about offers, but confirm it. As a mediator, when I go in a caucus and talk to people about an offer, I don't take the offer into the other room without going to my computer, typing it up, making sure that this is your offer, offer number one, whatever, and then take it in the other room. Otherwise, and we've all had this experience, you get it, 3 or 4 hours down the road, and it's like, oh, misunderstanding, you misunderstood. And oral negotiations are just ripe for misunderstandings. So I think all offers and counteroffers need to be in writing, all proposals. Anyone else? Well, thank you all for giving me this honor. I appreciate it. Happy negotiating. And hopefully we'll be here next year and the bombs won't drop.